Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Of course, we got to this point. Of course, we got the point where Zelensky will be against Trump and Trump will be against the rest of the world, because the rest of the world, and I'm talking about the Western world, will back Zelensky, including with our media. So our media is so patriotic that will side with a foreign leader, Zelensky, instead of siding with our president. So, Donald Trump called Zelensky a dictator, a moderate, successful clown, comedian. Well, I will show you Donald Trump's Truth Social post regarding this, and then the hysteria of the media portraying Trump as a bad guy and Zelensky as the good guy, of course. And then we're going to have some, how should I put it, some mollusks from Europe blaming Trump for daring to call Zelensky what he called a dictator. All right, let's start with the Truth Social. I have an account over there, obviously, and I'm following Donald Trump. My account is Emil Kosman at Emil Kosman right here. This is my account. And this is what Donald Trump posted 10 hours ago. Ready? Think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, Zelensky, without the US and Trump, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed, while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization? In that, this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us. We have a big, beautiful ocean and separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money we sent him is missing. He refuses to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at was playing Biden like a fiddle. A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something all admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered and millions have unnecessarily died. And so it continues. Got it? So this is what Trump said. He is a dictator without elections and is a modestly successful comedian who cannot figure out where half of the money is. Is it true? He also claimed that Zelensky started the war. Is it true? Zelensky, if you remember, he ran for president on a platform of peace. And then he said, I don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. I have to remind you that the Minsk agreement in 2015, the second one, it's international law. It had two guarantors, France and Germany. They said Ukraine will implement it. And Zelensky said, I don't like anything about it. Let's go back to Donbass. So this is what Trump said. And obviously the entire media, as far as I can tell, I will show you, and the weasel mollusks in Europe are siding with poor Zelensky. Well, I sided with Trump. Or better put, I side with the truth. As much as we can say it. So, let's see. Let's start with CBS. Trump calls Zelensky a dictator after blaming Ukraine for Russia's invasion. And we have, the poor guy right here. All right, okay. So again, President Trump attacked Ukrainian president. He just attacked. Okay? as a dictator without election, echoing rhetorics from the Kremlin about the war in Ukraine. That means he's like the Russians. Right there. You got it? Now, let's go to something else. They tell us here, they already started defending Ukraine. And not Ukraine, Zelensky. Zelensky was elected president of Ukraine in 2019 with 73% of the vote. The country has delayed elections. They were scheduled for early 2024 because of the war in Russia. They provide you with the justification. It was not Zelensky signs martial law that prevented the countries to set elections. No, it was the country has delayed. You got that? All right. So, and what Zelensky said about Trump? Remember, Zelensky is a foreign leader. He has anything to do with CNN or the CBS or anything like that. These are American media outlets. Supposedly, go and check and see who owns them. Right here. All right. We are seeing a lot of disinformation, and that is coming from Russia, Zelensky said Wednesday. Unfortunately, President Trump with all due respect, is living in this disinformation space. Now, CBS should say, how dare you, you piece of shit. They don't. Why? Well, they're not with us. They're with them. All right, let me show you another article. Trump calls Zelensky a dictator after the Ukraine's leader. So Trump is a guy, but this is the Ukraine's leader. Accused him of living in the information space. And we have poor Zelensky right there. Aww. Okay, there you have it. So a dictator, it's horrible. All right, what else we have? They tell us how Zelensky is a fantastic guy, and we go here with Zelensky said on Tuesday he asked Ukraine to give away 50% for paying for the war. BBC. Now in this one, you're going to see how the world's leaders of the free world are going to side with Zelensky, not with Trump. Why? That tells you who's in charge. Trump calls Zelensky dictator. A rift between the two leaders deepens. Rather, he attacked him after Zelensky reacted to US-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia from which Kiev was excluded. Said that US president was living in a disinformation space governed by Moscow. All right? So, the dictator, slur. Okay. The dictator's slur quickly prompted criticism from European leaders, including German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. He's not a leader, this is a mollusk, who said it is simply wrong and dangerous to deny President Zelensky his democratic legitimacy. So, you got one mollusk. Next one, UK Prime Minister, another one. Sir Keir Starmer made it clear he backed Zelensky. He wants to have a career, continue his career. Why? You know who's in charge over there. In a phone call to the Ukrainian president, excuse me, Zelensky, I'm on your side. Send those money to me. Not you, I mean your friends. Now, what do we find here? A Downing Street spokesperson said Sir Keir expressed his support for President Zelensky as Ukraine's democratically elected leader. It was perfectly reasonable to suspend elections during the war, as the UK did during the World War II, the spokesperson added. Yeah, but the United States of America did not. They had elections, so beat it, you losers. Next, Swedish Prime Minister. Now, all of a sudden, the Swedish Prime Minister is very important. Ulf Kristersson also criticized Trump's use of the word dictator, while German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, an infantile, called the comments absurd. It's absurd. Why? If you look at the real world, instead of just firing off a tweet, then you know who in Europe has to live in the conditions of a dictatorship. People in Russia, people in Belarus. She told broadcaster ZDF, this imbecile. Really? She said that the Russians and the people in Belarus live under dictatorships. Really? Lukashenko has election, 2 weeks ago? Putin was elected. What are you talking about? You say those are illegitimate? Why? Because you don't like the outcome? Remember, Annalena Baerbock is an unelected official. She's a bureaucrat, appointed. All right? But hey, Keir Starmer is not elected. His party won 18% of the vote. That people that voted. So from, let's say, not 100% of the electorate, you got 18. You got from 100% of the electorate, it were about, 50 or 60% who went to vote. From out of the 60, you got 18. His party won because winner takes it all. That's how in great democracy of Britain. But hey, they can do whatever they want. But they lecture everybody else. That's the problem. And then he was appointed as the prime minister. Remember, that country has a king, an unelected official. And they talk about democracy. Get out of here. Magna Carta is crying. All right, so again, we have here. Who else we have? Anybody? Next one. Oh my God, ABC News. Trump calls Zelensky dictators as tensions rise between the leaders of the Russian-Ukraine war. Oh, right, and it says, President Donald Trump has called Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy a dictator without elections. That's not good. And the same thing here, and they're gonna look at poor Zelensky, accused Trump earlier of living in a Russian-made disinformation space. My friends, I think that CBS, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, not BBC. BBC is owned by, has the government as well involved over there. They should have some patriotism after all. I'm not saying that they should lie. I mean, they lie anyway. But I think that they should show their patriotism, at least supporting our leader, our elected official, our president, our national interest, against a tsurli-burli, a baboon from a different country. Don't you think? I mean, I'm not saying this guy should not say, oh, wait a minute, is he a dictator? I think Trump has a point. You instituted martial law. You ran on a platform of peace. And then you said that you don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. What does that mean? I'm going to break everything that I can. That was international law. But also, we have to admit that the United States of America is not innocent in this one. I would say is the main engine in Zelensky's back. So what do you think will happen now? The mass media will continue to portray Trump as a dictator and an imbecile. Remember how many times these guys said that Trump is a dictator? Do you remember? In the first administration. Do you remember how many times these newspapers that right now they defend Zelensky said that Trump will suspend the Congress? Remember? I remember. Go and check it out. It's still over there. We're not yet in the 1984 novel of George Orwell when we throw in the burner, history so nobody hears about it. We shape the future by changing the present, by destroying the past. My friends, not only that, remember when these guys called Trump a fascist? Do you remember that one? And the fascist won. The elections, that means people who voted for him are fascist. Now, if a fascist won, how are the other guys? Worse than a fascist. Losers. So that means what's worse than a fascist? Is it? My friends, these guys called Trump everything. They called him a gangster. They called him our newspapers that right now they defend poor Zelensky Stein for that reason. So what do you think will happen? Trump will try to get rid of this guy. And if Trump doesn't get rid of him, however he's going to get rid of him, there's going to be people around him. Zelensky plays the card of, I'm defending Ukraine. You're not defending Ukraine. Remember, let's put yourself. Oh, no, I'm going to put myself. I'm not going to put yourself because I don't know exactly how you think. But I will say, I obviously think about myself as a person, pretty moral. I'm not saying average moral. With some principles, with some ideals and so on. Now I tell you that if I would be Zelensky, if let's say, but to be Zelensky you have to have a certain kind of character or lack of. Well, let's see, I'm Zelensky right now. Well, let's say I have a wife and I don't know if he has children or not. But nevertheless, and I'm 40 something, 48, 40, whatever I am. And I guarantee you, let's pretend I have a few $100 million in accounts. Or maybe, $2 billion. I don't know, but I definitely have hundreds of millions. So I have hundreds of millions of dollars. And I have a wife. So I have my future ahead of me. And do you think I'm going to risk to be killed by my security guards that don't work for me? Or by the Russians? Or by the Americans? Do you think I risk that to be poisoned? For what exactly? Unless I'm so paranoid that I don't want to relinquish power. That I think it's the power. I don't understand that I am at their orders. I mean, Zelensky must know he's not his own man. He must know that, and you must know that. So with all that, he could just say bye-bye, and he goes to Tahiti. He can hire 1,000 bodyguards for the rest of his life, if he wants. He can do what the fuck ever he wants. He can even stay in politics in Ukraine. Do you think that he has to antagonize Trump and the Americans, if Americans are with Trump? I'm talking about the institutions. Do you think he has to do that? He can play ball. He's going to be a rich person. He's going to be forever in Ukraine's history books as being the guy who saved Ukraine. An alien who saved the Ukrainian nation. Like, I don't know, whatever you want to call him. So why would he do that? He risks death. Do you think he has principles? Do you think Zelensky has principles? I don't think so. I don't think he has principles. But nevertheless, so if I were Zelensky, I probably make a deal. I say, you know what? Trump, what do you want? And I will play the game as I am defending the Ukrainians, but in the meantime, I prepare my retirement or a jump sideways on another position. Maybe I'm going to organize the elections with the Americans. I play ball with them. I'm going to win the elections because I'm going to count the elections. And then I'm going to be the president with a multi-million president and live another 4 years, another 5 years. They have over there 5 years. So it's going to be 10 years as re-elected and then retire. Maybe I'm going to be, NATO secretary because I have so much experience. It's imbecilic to think that Zelensky risks his life at the point where he is financially. He can go to Germany and have over there live forever and blame those guys for the forever. And it's going to be A-okay. Those guys will pay. The German government will make the German people pay for Zelensky's pension and bodyguards forever. Blame game. You understand that? I can do a lot of things. So I don't believe I don't even think that this is really true. I mean, not true, genuine. And Zelensky, if he keeps trying to fight with Putin, with Trump, I think it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good about that. Why would he do it? He has principles? I don't think so. He's fighting the Trump. Now, if this guy thinks that he can fight the Trump, that means he must be so certain that he's got such strong entities around Trump that will twist Trump's ankle and wrist and neck whenever he wants. You don't deal with that. Who does that? Putin, Xi Jinping, maybe Modi. Who does that? How many countries on this planet dare to do that? And most of these guys who dare to say that have nuclear weapons, maybe excluding Iran. But the rest you don't have squat. You're a dead meat. Whatever you are, dead man walking. So, spare me. We'll find out. Trump is not going to fall. Zelensky is going to fall really hard. We'll find out. Is he a dictator? Well, he canceled elections. Why? He instituted martial law. Why? Because the Russians attacked. And even the British did the same thing. The Americans didn't. So spare me. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.